The DA rubbishes anger over Helen Zilla's comment on racial classification. Pandemonium after a student leader is kept behind bars. Hello, I'm Shahan Ramkisoon. This is eNews Direct.
A very good evening. I'm William Lahong.
To comment on our stories, find us on Twitter, look for @eNews Direct and like eNews Direct on Facebook.
You can also track our main stories using the following hashtags: Helen Zilla, Kanyile and Herman Mashaba.
This leads Western Cape Premier Helen Zilla is in hot water yet again over her remarks on Twitter. Zilla questioned why it was acceptable to racially classify people for jobs, but not to identify people at a restaurant table by their race. She was referring to a racial incident last week at the bungalow at Clifton Beach in Cape Town when a customer and his friend got their bill with the words "two blacks" typed on it.
Twitter has been flooded with reactions following tweets from Western Cape Premier Helen Zilla. The tweet, referring to the racist incident at the bungalow restaurant, says, "Why is it okay to racially classify people for jobs, but not to identify people at a table by their race?" Soon after, Zilla deleted the tweet. She also questioned why the implicated waiter should lose his job. Since the incident, the waiter has expressed regret. After working at the restaurant for 8 years, he was slapped with his suspension. In reaction to being dubbed a racist, Zilla tweeted, "I have never supported any form of racism. Quite the contrary, I dislike double standards." She also lashed out, saying Twitter should focus on real racism. Attempts to speak to the Premier on camera were unsuccessful, but she responded via text. "It is incomprehensible that this is even a story. Go and look for some really racist and unacceptable things that are said on Twitter and turn those into a story. Don't try and create racism and then cost a guy his job. Why is this so hard to grasp? I am not prepared to continue with the malicious twist given to the story." Artie Narsi, Cape Town.
The Democratic Alliance has defended Zilla's comments.
The question is whether that is a legitimate comment given the realities of renewed racial classification in South Africa. And in our view, it is. But there is a difference between outrage and manufactured outrage. And this is a question definitely of manufactured outrage. People are entitled to their opinion. She is entitled to hers. They are entitled to theirs. We live in a democracy. We need to have a debate about these matters. We don't need to shut up every time something is vaguely inconvenient.
Student protesters wreaked havoc outside the KwaZulu-Natal High Court in Pietermaritzburg today. They were angry over the dismissal of Bonginkosi Kanyile's bail application. The Durban University of Technology student was arrested in September during the Fees Must Fall protests.
It took just seconds for this court to dismiss student Bonginkosi Kanyile's bail application. The Fees Must Fall protester was arrested in September. But the judgment in absentia didn't sit well with his supporters.
If they're going to provoke us by denying us access of enjoying this country, we're going to respond. If they're going to deny one of our own access of justice, we're going to fight.
And minutes later, they did just that. Students scatter into the CBD with police close behind. Some protesters are arrested. After 3 months behind bars, Kanyile will be spending Christmas in a Westville prison cell. His public violence case is expected to return to court early next year. Doesnt, Pietermaritzburg.
Suspended National Police Commissioner Ria Piecha has been asked by the presidency to make additional written representations after receiving a copy of the Claassen report. The Claassen Commission of Inquiry has been investigating her fitness to hold office following the 2012 Marikana massacre. President Jacob Zuma is still considering the findings submitted to him earlier this month. Arrangements are now being made by the Commission to submit a copy to Parliament. President Jacob Zuma is going nowhere, at least not by choice. He was speaking at an ANC Youth League lecture in Durban. Zuma says he's done nothing wrong and doesn't believe he needs to resign.
Although journalists were invited to the ANC Youth League's Economic Freedom Lecture, guest speakers, including party president Jacob Zuma, were not pleased. He says he can't speak freely when the media is around.
You might want to identify the weaknesses, right? And identify them with a view to help us strengthen ourselves where we are weaker. But a journalist is a good story. They have admitted their weaknesses. And it's a very bad propaganda out there.
Zuma delivered a prepared speech about the country's economic situation, stressing money was still in white hands. He called on the youth to come up with ideas to take back the economy. Speaking about his decision to change finance ministers last year, Zuma said presidents don't owe anyone explanations.
Because any president is not going to tell you why I took this decision. Because you don't have to explain, because there are a number of reasons why you take decisions to put a minister or remove a minister. You don't have to share anything.
And he reminded his audience he's not ready to leave.
I will never, on my own, resign. Because if I did so, I would be surrendering to the monopoly capital. Because I asked, what is it that I've done wrong?
Zuma said the ANC would continue to engage with the Youth League to uplift young people. Doesnt, Durban.
Agri-SA is hopeful 2017 will be a better year for farmers. Mother Nature is likely to help with predictions of above-average rainfall across the country. It'll be a welcomed relief after one of the worst droughts to date.
Farmers have been affected by this year's poor rainfall, but are hopeful for 2017.
You can see that the soil's dry.
Agri-SA says that while Gauteng, Limpopo and the Northwest have received higher rainfall recently, there's still cause for alarm.
We are still very, very concerned about the southern parts of the Free State, as well as the Northern Cape and parts of the Western Cape and Eastern Cape. Remember, the Free State is our grain basket, and if they do not get enough rains, then we will certainly be in big trouble for next year.
The sector has been hard hit by the ongoing drought that's seen an almost 30% drop in volumes. A recent report by Agri-SA found that by mid-2017, poor households may experience worsening food security across the SADC region. Farmers are being advised to remain cautious in their planting. Dam levels are at 49% nationally. The province with the lowest levels is KwaZulu-Natal, where dams sit at 42%. Meanwhile, Christmas weather is expected to vary around the country.
After a heat wave the past week over the eastern parts of South Africa, we are expecting a much cooler Christmas weekend. Mostly cloudy conditions with some light rain for KwaZulu-Natal. Isolated thunderstorms by the afternoon for northwest and the eastern parts. A stormy evening for the lowvelds of Limpopo and Mpumalanga, continuing overnight into Christmas morning with significant rainfalls possible.
A cool Christmas day is expected for the northwest, Gauteng and the Free State, while lucky holidaymakers in western parts of the country will have a warm and sunny day. Teresa Taylor, Johannesburg.
Time for a look at international news now. The Russian ambassador killed in Turkey last week has been laid to rest. Andrei Karlov was gunned down while giving a speech in Ankara on Monday. An off-duty policeman who shot him says it was revenge for Russia's involvement in helping attack terrorists in the Syrian city of Aleppo. The Berlin Christmas market in Germany has reopened after Monday's truck attack, which left 12 people dead. Large concrete blocks have been brought in to avoid a repeat incident. Similar measures have been taken at other markets across the country. Meanwhile, reports claim fingerprints of a Tunisian suspect were found on the truck door. The manhunt is now on for Anis Amri. While some reacted with sympathy to the news of Sheikh Mashaba's dismissal, other Twitter users have hailed Safa for finally getting rid of him. In one tweet, the user goes as far as saying Mashaba was arrogant and achieved little as the coach of the national soccer team. Others are encouraging him to spill the beans. They want him to disclose the full details of what led to his dismissal. And the South African Police Service has condemned a hoax message claiming police will not be working on Christmas Day and New Year's Eve. The fake release even goes as far as quoting Acting Police Commissioner Komoto Patlane. But rest assured, all police stations and essential services will be operational throughout the holidays. For more on these stories, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at eNews Direct, or go onto our website enca.com/direct. After the break, it's your business news and weather forecast. Welcome back. Business news now. Christmas is a couple of days away and many people are splurging on gifts, holidays and festivities. But 2016 has been a tough year economically and thousands of families will be enjoying the holidays on a shoestring budget.
It's that time of the year again. Christmas and New Year are around the corner and you can feel the festive spirit everywhere. Even though these celebrations come once a year, they can easily knock the air out of anyone's budget. However, financial experts say you can enjoy these festivities without burning a hole in your pocket.
Work with what you've got. When you go in and you still have to plan your Christmas meal, go through recipes and be very sure what you have to buy and just go in and only buy those things. When you think about Christmas presents, one of the biggest crazes currently in South Africa is all these farmers markets and markets where you buy handicrafts, which is much cheaper than what you get in a retail store.
Start as early as possible to get your finances in check so you're prepared. Whether it's holiday preparations, gifts or decorations, festive season expenses could weigh you down for the next few months.
As soon as you go into January, if you overspend in December in this holiday period, January becomes a very, very long month. And a lot of things in our personal life get influenced by that financial stress, relationship with kids, job security.
Families are reminded this festive season is about spending time with loved ones, rather than just focusing on purchasing expensive gifts that many can't afford. John Bailey, Pretoria.
Time now to see how the markets fared. Your weather forecast up next with Candice.
It's been a sizzling hot day over the extreme northeastern part of the country, with heatwave conditions continuing over parts of the Free State, the Northwest, the Northern Cape and the Lowveld all the way through to Friday. It'll be an uncomfortably hot day, especially over parts of KwaZulu-Natal and the Lowveld, and we're expecting windy conditions over the interior parts of the Cape provinces as well as along the Western Cape coastline. A cold front brings in cooler weather and rainfall mainly over the southwestern part of South Africa, and then you'll see isolated to scattered thundershowers over the northeastern and eastern part of the country. It'll be a sizzling hot day throughout KwaZulu-Natal on Friday, with many of those highs heading into the upper 30s, and we'll see thundershowers extending all the way through to the coast by Friday night. Dry throughout the Eastern Cape with a sizzling hot day over the interior, 30 degrees and sunny for East London, Port Elizabeth at 29, a warm afternoon for George at 28 degrees. Showers are expected mainly over the southwestern part of the Western Cape, 23 for Cape Town and Langebaan, and George can expect that evening rainfall. Evening rain is is also expected for Springbok at 24, Pietersburg and Prieska at 38 degrees, 36 with isolated thundershowers for Bloemfontein, and you'll see thundershowers over the northern and eastern part of the province. Mostly cloudy as we head towards the northwest, with most highs in the middle and upper 30s with up to a 60% chance of thundershowers. Thundershowers are forecast for most of Limpopo, except over the extreme northern and eastern parts where we can expect another toasty afternoon. We're forecasting quite a bit of cloud in Mpumalanga with highs in the low 30s for the Highveld, 37 degrees for Bombela with isolated thundershowers, and you'll see a mostly cloudy day with up to a 60% chance of thundershowers for Gauteng, 34 degrees for Pretoria, and Johannesburg and Vereniging at 32. Thundershowers continue over the northeastern part of South Africa on Saturday, with some light rain in the south and cloudy and wet weather moving in along the east coast. And by Sunday, we'll see cloudy, wet and cooler weather over the northeastern and eastern part of South Africa, but with a sunny and hot day in the west. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Have a great night.
After the break, a Cape Townian gets the opportunity of a lifetime. We'll tell you more after this. Welcome back. A Cape Town man is getting a chance to do what he loves in front of an audience.
And he's going from Township Wonder to the live stage with ease.
I don't need wings to fly.
Moain Daniel's music career is finally becoming a reality. He was born with a disability that renders him immobile. But for as long as he can remember, music has always been a part of his life.
My family would always put on the radio, and I remember as a child, us singing along to songs, So for me, growing up was all about music. I was always exposed to music, and I think that's where my love for music started.
Determined to kick off his career, Daniels got in touch with a local radio station and music producer, Clive Ridgway. And now he'll be doing his thing at the Artscape Theatre. Daniels reminisces about his first stage performance at 14.
Feeling that adrenaline rush when I first came on stage, and the curtains opening and people started to, applaud me so for me it was the most amazing feeling, ever since that day, standing on stage and performing in front of people. I just knew that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
The 28-year-old singer lives with his mother in Mitchell's Plain, making ends meet with the help of a disability grant. His next mission is to release an album. Artie Narsi, Cape Town.
Here's a reminder of our top stories before we go. The DA rubbishes anger over Helen Zilla's comment on racial classification. Pandemonium after a student leader is kept behind bars. And that's a wrap from the eNews Direct team.
Until next time, good night.